Vietnam, a land torn apart by war, where the line between survival and death was razor thin. In the midst of this chaos, there was a man who didn't just survive, he thrived in it. His name was Jerry Shriver, but to those who fought beside him, he was known simply as Mad Dog. It wasn't a nickname that came lightly. It was earned in the heat of battle, when reason was abandoned in favor of pure, relentless survival. Jerry wasn't the kind of soldier you'd find in a textbook. He didn't follow the rules, and in war, rules can be deadly. To Jerry, the battlefield was a place where you acted on instinct, where hesitation was a luxury you couldn't afford. And when it came to the jungle of Vietnam, Jerry's instincts were anything but predictable. One of the first stories that cemented Jerry's reputation as Mad Dog began in the dense, unforgiving terrain of the Quang Tri province. His unit was tasked with a reconnaissance mission, a routine patrol through the jungle. The kind of job that required silence, caution, and patience. But anyone who knew Jerry knew that silence wasn't in his vocabulary. As his comrades quietly advanced, Jerry moved ahead, with no hesitation, no thought of caution. He was eager to get the job done, and wanted to make his presence known, even if it meant putting himself at risk. Without warning, he broke into a sprint, charging through the underbrush like a predator. The rest of his unit scrambled to keep up, but Jerry was already far ahead. He made noise, plenty of it, and that noise carried. His actions would soon draw the attention of the Viet Cong, who had been lying in wait. Within moments, Jerry's reckless move had them surrounded. The ambush was inevitable, but what Jerry did next, even with the enemy closing in, was the thing that made him a legend. He didn't panic. Instead, he dove into the chaos, charging straight at the Viet Cong with a rifle raised and grenades in hand. While most would have taken cover, Jerry fought his way through the jungle, forcing the enemy to retreat with sheer audacity and determination. When the dust finally settled, Jerry had single-handedly turned a near-fatal ambush into a victory. It wasn't tactics, it wasn't careful planning, it was a wild, unrelenting drive to survive. But it wasn't just Jerry's battlefield audacity that earned him the name Mad Dog. It was his refusal to back down, no matter how dangerous the situation became. Take the time when his unit was assigned a mission that would test the courage of even the most seasoned soldiers: the search for Viet Cong tunnels. These intricate underground passageways were a major threat to American forces, and they needed to be cleared. But clearing them required more than just skill. It required a level of bravery most men couldn't even comprehend. The Viet Cong's tunnels weren't just narrow passageways. They were mazes filled with hidden traps and ambush points. Most soldiers felt a deep unease about entering these tunnels, knowing that the moment you were inside, you were at the mercy of the enemy. But when Jerry's unit was ordered to clear one of these tunnels, he didn't hesitate. Most men would have taken it slow, methodical, cautious, but not Jerry. The second he entered the darkness, he began moving at a pace others couldn't match. The rest of the team tried to stay with him, but Jerry didn't care. He charged forward, firing his rifle into the shadows, shouting in the dark. The sudden, chaotic gunfire rattled his comrades, but Jerry was in his element. The tunnel was his battleground. In the end, Jerry's reckless approach worked. He overwhelmed the Viet Cong forces hiding underground, scattering them with his unrelenting charge. His team, struggling to keep up, eventually followed him out, but by then, Jerry had already secured the area. He didn't follow orders. He didn't wait for backup. He simply made it happen. But the real test of Jerry's resolve came at Firebase Ripcord, one of the most brutal and intense battles of the war. For days, the base had been under siege, and the situation was dire. A retreat was becoming inevitable. But as his unit prepared to fall back, Jerry made a decision that would define him. Instead of retreating with the others, Jerry chose to stay behind, holding a critical position that would allow the rest of the unit to escape. The sound of gunfire was deafening. Explosions rained down from every direction, but Jerry didn't flinch. He held his ground, shouting orders, rallying his men, and moving through the chaos with calm determination. In those moments, when most soldiers would have sought safety, Jerry dove into the heart of the battle. He fought for hours, not because it was a part of the mission, but because he refused to leave his men behind. His bravery in the face of overwhelming odds saved countless lives. When the firefight finally ended, Jerry emerged, covered in dirt and blood, but still standing. His actions that day were nothing short of legendary. And while the others retreated to safety, Jerry didn't just leave with the memory of his victory. He left with the knowledge that he had done what needed to be done, no matter the cost.